you're kind of debt-free, you're living this debt-free lifestyle, is what is the next chapter for you? How do you handle your money in a sense, and what's the most efficient and effective way of doing that? Because if you've got good budgeting habits and you've kind of got a baseline foundational financial plan, kind of what's the step? And I really feel that David Blain will have all of the answers to knowing what the next step is. So excited to be here with you guys too and learning.
Yeah, and hi everyone. My name is Heidi Santa Cruz. I'm super excited and blessed to be able to speak tonight and be here with y'all. One of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to learning is really discovering how we can become better with our finances, and then also being able to help lead other people in their financial journey and budgeting journey towards whatever their goals are, and also like kind of being able to see how someone who has such financial success, what their goals look like, and planning those goals and then achieving those goals.
Thank you so much for even putting this all together. Super excited to learn from you guys.
Sure, absolutely. For me, I love having high-speed friends. That's my secret to success, man. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And I've been blessed with some amazing people in my life, man. That has definitely been a secret to success for sure. Alika, we got a couple more minutes here. Alika, could you just share, what are you looking forward to about this experience tonight with David Blain?
Yo, what's up? My name is Alika Freitas. I'm plugging in from Fayetteville, North Carolina. David, good to see you again, man. I was plugged into the last one, man. You grew my financial IQ by like 1 million times the last time. So if this is your first time plugging in or meeting David, prepare to get your huh? Oh, so that's somebody else. Oh, anyways, but what I plan to get out of today is really just growing more of my my financial literacy to really help others, whether it be dialing in their budgets or maybe even getting them on simple basic steps on maybe some future financial goals that they may have. Maybe it's paying off debt, maybe it's wanting to buy a house in the future, and just kind of getting everything, in the front end, just like their basic need to or know how, like what needs to happen for that goal, that dream that a lot of us or a lot of people have. Like what's the best for that to happen. Thanks for your time too, man.
That's great. Thanks, Alika. And if you are not muted, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. In fact, let me just go ahead and rock this. Boom. Okay, so I just got everyone muted there. So awesome. All right, so it is that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Let's get ready. Bust up my little UFC voice. Super excited tonight to share with you all this amazing, one of my great friends and just another guy who's really impacted me directly and indirectly. And so really excited. Again, if you have not put in the chat log where you're calling in from or where you're plugging in from, please do so. And I'd love for you to have your webcams on as long as you are staying engaged, right? So if you're kind of getting distracted and stuff, please just shut off your camera so we're not watching you pick your nose or whatever. So let's keep the cam on as long as you can stay in it to win it, so we can stay focused here on David and his great content. So let me show you guys let me pull up my slides here. What a former officer with PowerPoint slides. Yes, that is the dealio. So let me bust these out here and run through kind of the agenda of what tonight's going to look like. So again, my name is Noble, and it's a blessing and privilege to be able to share this experience with you all tonight. Super excited that you all plugged in. Let me know. Let me just pull this up very quickly. Can you guys give me, Alika, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see the slides? Okay, perfect. Let me just do this very quickly. And I got to get a link to somebody that just texted me here. All right. Okay, so here's the agenda. So, this is a 360 movement micro event. I'm going to kind of explain that. I'm hosting it again. My name is Noble Gibbons. I've got an awesome wife named Kathy, and we got a super duper kid that we homeschool with classical conversations named Elena. She's 11 years old. We do jujitsu together. What? And I just did my first tournament. What? This past weekend, and I got crushed twice. Great learning experience. Okay. Moving along here, so the agenda. So I'm going to do this intro here. It's going to be probably about 10 minutes or so, plus or minus, and give you kind of a 360 overview, kind of like how did David and I kind of meet. He did an event for us last year as well, May 2018. Did another micro event on finances for us, and so kind of how we've been talking a little bit. And then what we're going to do is, so then David is going to talk. He's going to share some content with us about his new book. Let me show you guys this. What? That's his new book, Invest in Your Life, Not Just Your Portfolio. Amazing. He sent it to me just the other day, and I'm into it here, a few chapters. He's got some amazing stuff. So I'm really excited for him to share some of the content he's got with you all tonight. But here's the thing. After he shares, I'm going to break you all out into breakout rooms. And I thought it was funny, the acronym that created. Of course, in the military, we got to have acronyms for everything. Breakout room discussions, which is bored. But we will not be bored during the breakout room discussions. Now, here's the deal. So those of you all, I know some of you all have been mentored by me, are being mentored by me. If you are being mentored by me, and you're a 360 influencer and you are in one of those breakout rooms, I want you to kind of facilitate the conversation or discussion. So I want it to be as much interaction and discussion around the content that David shared in that previous section there, number 2, when he shares his content. That number 3 there, that breakout room discussion for 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes or so. I want you guys to chop up and hash out and kind of work through, wrestle with some of that content that David shared. And I really want you guys to look at a couple different things, not just the mindset, kind of pay attention. I want to try and give you guys some framework on how to get the most out of tonight. Is pay attention not only to David's mindset, but also be searching for some practical application stuff of how you can apply the content directly to your life. And not 10 things. I know for me, I've tried, okay, well, I'm going to come up with 37 things I need to improve on. And David's going to be able to share 37 things that I need to improve on. But I got to start with one thing. So just pick one thing, one action step. Okay, so we're going to do 10 minutes of breakout room discussion around his content. We're going to come back into our main session, which we're in right now, do some big takeaways. So we're going to have one representative basically from each of the breakout rooms, share one real quick takeaway that you all had during your breakout room discussions, very quickly, like 30 seconds to a minute. And then boom, David will cover another layer of content with us from his book, some good financial and business principles and stuff like that. And then boom, we'll have another 10 minutes or so of hashing that section of content out. Go ahead and mute yourself if you're not muted, please. That'd be great. I'm hearing some type in there. And then we'll come back together as in the main session, do some more takeaways. And then if there's still time, then we may open it up and do some Q&A time there at the end. So that's going to be kind of the overview. All right, so now let me just mute everybody again because I'm hearing some noise there, some background noise. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, so here's the next one here. So all right. So just again, so you guys kind of know what is the 360 movement, 360 mission. So the 360 mission is to reach the world by changing you so we can change your world. So together we can change the world. And by reach, we mean restore brokenness, empower leaders and influencers, affirm gifts, strengths, and superpowers, cultivate roots. One thing I love saying is cultivate roots before fruits, deep roots before legacy, long-lasting fruits. And then that last one there is harvest long-lasting legacy fruit. So that is the 360 mission. My particular approach or kind of brand, if you will, in terms of how I mentor people is from a 360-degree perspective. We don't want you to be financially successful and not family successful. We don't want you to be professionally successful and not personally successful. Our approach to mentorship is be is that complete person, that complete man, that complete woman. I started the movement last year, 2018, the 360 movement story very quickly, is in 2018, we reached over 1,000 people attended our 360 seminars and webinars. And this is just an example. This is a micro event. Normally we have more speakers and that kind of thing. And we have, more breakout discussions, stuff like that. But this is a micro event here that David was so, very, giving of his time and stuff, willing to do this event for us as in promotion, to be able to promote his book and then the great concepts that he has in his book. But here are the events that we did last year. We had one event on leadership, work-life balance, finances and investments that David did for us, and then assets, relationships, developing leaders, growth hacks to 10x your life. So, and we even had a couple more in there that were some of the micro events. But you can see it kind of hits on every aspect of life, and we're starting back again. So this is the first event, 360 event of 2019 for us. We're super excited again. So thankful that David was willing to do this event. Okay. And I'm also going to have Kevin and Beth, who have been, they're actually the ones who connected us with David many, many years ago. Kevin and Beth have been our kind of personal life and business coaches now for 2 decades. We've known them for a long, long time, when their 2 kids were just a gleam in their eye. But they've been married over 30 years. Kevin is also a West Point graduate. So just so you know, you don't have to go to West Point to be in the club. Okay, that is not a prerequisite. So I just want to say that disclaimer there. That just happens to be kind of our network a little bit. So Beth went to Duke Medical School. She was a physician's assistant for a little bit there. And then Kevin, 82nd Airborne Division, Gulf War veteran. He's an investor. They've invested into the school, actually, where their children went to school, Freedom Christian Academy in Fayetteville. Real estate investor, financial investor, venture capitalist, entrepreneur, business coach, and amazing, amazing couple. Again, it's, for me, I'm so thankful for Kevin and Beth and David and Caroline, just some amazing people. For me, that's kind of my mom kind of raised me, that real wealth is determined by the quality of your relationships. And our pastor said the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your relationships. So I'm so thankful that God has placed these folks in our lives. So I want to let Kevin and Beth, they have worked very closely with David. David has been their financial advisor for a number of years. So Kevin and Beth, if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes to just, let me pull this up here. Let's see here.
Can you hear me okay too?
There we go. Yeah, Kevin, if you could go ahead and just say a few things about David as well, that'd be great. I lost you, Kevin. Can you guys hear Kevin?
He's muted.
Okay, Kevin, can you unmute yourself?
Yep. Yeah, I think you and I did it at the same time. So.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
So, well, first of all, we would just want to say hello to everybody. And Noble and Kathy, we want to say we had a blast with you guys today, about 4 hours spending time together, just enjoying each other's company and everything, and looking forward to tonight. We've been friends for 20 plus years. And I am just so appreciative of Noble's gift of being able to bring people together like this and celebrate and to make finances fun for everybody. It's awesome. And we just appreciate you so much for doing this and for allowing each and every one of us the opportunity to glean from David's knowledge. David and I have been friends, and with Beth have been friends for over 25 years now, and he's been our financial planner for about 20 years. And David's one of those geniuses, and this is a gifting. But I think what's unique about David is sometimes when people have a gifting that strong in one area, that either they can't relate to other people and so they can't communicate well or whatever. Dave's a great communicator. He's great with relationships, and he lives what he teaches. And his book lays out a plan for you to have the life that you want. And again, we know his family good enough to know that he's living everything that he wrote. And so we're just excited that you guys are getting to experience him a little tonight. Some of you for the second or third time, some of you for the first time, but But David, again, thank you for the example and inspiration you are to all of us. And thank you for taking some of your time and investing it into us. I know your heart is just like Noble's, just like mine is to change the world and to reach people and to add value. So you want to say hello?
Yeah, I too, Noble and Kathy, thank you so much for creating this venue for us to be able to have this opportunity to share with all of you, our financial advisor. David is, like Kevin said, been an associate and a friend of ours for many, many years. And I think if there's anything that I would want to share is, Kevin has always done a tremendous job with our finances. He's been a good steward, but he's also been a good student. And David has been a good balance for Kevin in so many ways. And for me, as Kevin's wife, I'm just here to tell you, ladies, there's no better security to know that not only your finances are in the hands of someone that's getting coached like from David, but also if something were to happen to Kevin, I know that David would take care of me. And that's a very important for Kevin as my husband, but also for me, because most women don't think about that until they're potentially in a situation. And so we have 100% security on a daily basis, knowing we have the expertise that David has, and he's offered it to us, and he's always he's sharpening us on a regular basis. And so we're just so appreciative of that. And he's just a really nice, quality friend and a good person, and that makes it even better. So thank you, David. We appreciate you and Caroline and your whole family for giving us this time, and we are excited to hear from you as well. So thanks again, Noble and Kathy.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And here's why I'm smiling. So Kevin and Beth and of course David, they are zillionaires. So, which is super cool. I just never thought as I grow up I'd be homies with zillionaires, but I'm really thankful. So this is, I don't know, maybe some of you guys, maybe some of you all are zillionaires, maybe you have zillionaire friends. I'm thankful that I again, just I'm very thankful for the association that God has blessed me with. We've been entrepreneurs for 2 decades now and have been a part of 10 different startups. And so for me, I love business. I'm learning more about finances. I'm scared to even say that around Kevin and Beth and David here because they are PhD level financial folks. So, okay, give me a little hashtag, I'm ready. Put it in the old chat log. Hashtag, I am ready. Okay, folks. So let me bust out again here. So David Blain, let me tell you just a little bit about David Blain here, and we'll jump into the skinny. So graduated from West Point, honor grad, and I'm just going to touch on, I'm not going to read all the bullets here, but just he was in the 82nd, went to Ranger Regiment, and then was at USASI, United States Special Operations Command. So really a very successful military career, and had shared some of his story in his book, and it's really interesting. As long as I've known David for a couple of decades now, I didn't know some of this stuff, so it's really neat to kind of see a little bit more behind the scenes. Didn't know about your run-in with Mr. Elk. I didn't know about that, David. That was no joke, man. And he's been the CEO and senior wealth advisor at Blue Sky Wealth Advisors now for almost 20 years. So he has been helping, probably hundreds of families by now, financially plan out how they can, accomplish their financial goals and achieve financial independence. And so he's a part of a number of boards and stuff. So phenomenal guy. And without further ado, David, I'd love for you to just share with us. I'm going to stop the screen share here and just share with us, kind of maybe a little bit about your book, and then we'll jump into maybe some of the concepts, from your book, David, as well. So without further ado, let's give it up. Give us raise the roof for David Blain.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Noble. Thanks a lot. I just appreciate Noble, you and Kathy, as you said. Although I have to say I wasn't really nervous, and then I didn't know Kevin and Beth were going to be on this. So now I'm officially nervous because Kevin and Beth are they're too kind to me. They've actually been my mentors. In fact, one of the things I love to do is give people resources, and I hope that my book will become one of those. But on my bookshelf here, I have some yellow-eared books that Kevin and Beth Bell recommended to me 25 years ago that have never left my my bookshelf. And I owe a lot of that success to them. As they said, you know, I've always been good with finance, but you know, they really taught me how to deal with people and how to really round myself out as a man and a husband and things like that. So thanks for being on here today, Kevin and Beth. You know, I wrote this book for the simple reason for everybody on this call. My firm, I started it to serve people. And what I found out very quickly was kind of like the reason Noble started the 360 group is, you know, we're all constrained by the number of individual people that we can touch, you know, one-on-one. And so a big part of the book was to be able to get down into paper and an enduring format some of the principles of success so that people can learn them. The financial world, as I tell the story in the book, you know, I was a young lieutenant at Fort Bragg, and I was, you know, starting to invest. I had started to invest and do some things, and there was this company called USPA and IRA, which specialized in supposedly the needs of military members, and they targeted young officers, and they would invite us to these dinners. I went to a dinner at the Fort Bragg. Actually, I can't even remember where. Somewhere in Fort Bragg. And we went there, and it was a big pitch for life insurance, trying to sell me life insurance and trying to get me to invest in this thing called the AIM Summit Mutual Fund. And for some of you today, this may seem a little bit odd because, you know, there's not a lot of commissions, but at the time, the commission was 50%. They wanted you to invest in this investments that took a 50% commission. And I was really appalled, number one, that a firm like this could exist at all. And number two, that they were targeting military members, you know, young officers and NCOs that were serving their country, that were arguably too busy with other more important things to pay a lot of attention to their finance. And they needed somebody that they could trust, someone to help them while they were off in Afghanistan or, you know, Iraq or Bosnia, you know, back when I was, you know, Bosnia and Panama and places like that. And I just thought it was egregious the way that they conducted themselves. Now, you know, I'm sorry if there's anyone on this call that works with them. They actually had to change their name. It's now known as First Command. But back in the day, they were called USPA IRA. And I literally started my firm to try to bring some high quality advice to people in contrast to what they get from Wall Street and the big insurance companies and things like that. And I was just constrained by the number of people that I could serve. So I wrote this book to try to put into writing some of the principles that can create financial freedom. As you look at marriages, as you look at problems with children, as you look at a lot of the problems that ail society, look at our political discourse. It's mostly about money. It's mostly about, because not enough people have enough. And, you know, along with Noble and Kevin and everything, we believe that the pie is big enough for everybody. That there's not one pie that we have to sort of divide up. And so we want to teach people how to create financial freedom, create financial independence, because it is going to make the world a better place. When you don't have to worry about money every day, when you're not fighting with your wife over it, when you're not fighting with your neighbor over, you know, who gets benefits and all these sorts of things, then you can focus on actually helping people. You can focus on charitable endeavors and things like that. And so I think it's very important, you know, as I say in the book, that's what I talk about. It's invest in your life. It's not about your portfolio. It's about creating a life and getting beyond yourself so that you can achieve something. And so many people spend their entire life just trying to get by, pay the bills, things like that. And we want people to learn how to get out of that scenario. I tell you a little story. Just on, on Monday, we got a phone call from a client, a very well-known cardiologist here in town that I work with. And he called and he was crying. He was crying on the phone because his wife, who was 47 years old, died in her sleep over the weekend. And, you know, one of the things that we don't know what is coming our way. You know, hopefully it's not something as tragic as that. Fortunately, he had a plan in place. Fortunately, you know, we had things in place. He has 2 young children. You know, so whether it's something as tragic as that, or a job issue, or, you know, we had a big hurricane here in New Bern, wiped out families like you wouldn't believe, that they'll never recover. And so there are all these type of things that I talk about in the book about while you're on your way to creating financial freedom, there are forces out there that are going to try to prevent you from doing that. You know, unknown things that are going to happen, and you have to protect yourself. And so that's why I wrote the book, was to try to get people to do it. It's not about creating a big pile of money. You know, one of the things, people come into my office a lot and they're like, okay, you know, how do I make money? And, you know, what do I invest in? That's our first question. What do I invest in? And that's like the last question. You know, the first question you ask is, what am I trying to achieve? And so we walk people through the book. If I could, Noble, can I share my screen here?
Yes, absolutely, David. Yep. On the bottom there, just hit that button.
I'm going to pull up, can you see that graphic?
Perfect. Yep, got it.
So this graphic is, I can't see, I got stuff in the way, on page 24 of the book. And this is, I just want to, as we're going through tonight and listening and talking and strategizing, I want you to think about this graphic, because this in one nutshell encapsulates everything that you could be thinking about. And you can see here, number one, it starts with goals. You got to have a goal. Now, as Noble and Kevin and Beth know, we have 5 kids. And so my wife, Caroline, I love her to death. Her goal most days is to make sure the kids are alive at the end of the day and there's something to eat on the table. But at some point, you need to kind of think a little bit beyond that. What are you trying to achieve? And then this next box, we talk about human capital. So human capital is the summation of all of your knowledge, your skill, your talent. It's who you are. And, you know, I happen to believe that everyone has been bestowed by God with certain gifts. And that's what we call, you know, human capital. And the idea is you have these skills and abilities, and you have to trade those somehow for monetary gain, you know, money. You know, you trade it for a salary, you trade it for something that creates financial, you know, it's converted into financial assets. Now, out of that human capital, you know, you go to work or you start a company or whatever you do, you have to spend some of it, you know, to eat, keep a you know, a roof over your head, you know, send your kids to school, whatever they may be. Those are what we call your short-term goals. But you have to take some of it. You're trading your life for money. You have to take some of that and you have to convert it to financial assets. And then those financial assets, what, you know, stocks, bonds, real estate. Well, we'll talk about, you know, that a little bit more, but then you have to let those financial assets generate what we call passive income. And this is the key. Taking off some of your effort from wherever you work, putting it into financial assets and letting those assets generate the passive income. That way, now you can achieve at some point when you're financially independent, your passive income is able to achieve your short-term goals. You no longer have to trade that human capital in order to achieve your short-term goals, which are, you know, eating and a place to live and things like that. It's also what allows you to achieve long-term goals. Those things, you know, sending your kids to college, helping your neighbor, giving to your church, you know, whatever those long-term goals may be, it's very difficult to do that if you're trying to do it out of just trading your human capital. We are fortunate here in the United States of America that we have relatively, at least currently, relatively free to do this step of converting our human capital into financial assets and doing it. You can see here I have, at some point, we're all going to depart this earth. And what this allows you to do also is once you're gone, you can create a legacy. Your legacy can live on. You can continue achieving things beyond when you're here, whether it be for your spouse, or whether it be for your children, or whether it be for a charity or your church. Then over here, as I alluded to, there are certain obstacles and threats you have to protect yourself against. Number one is taxes. Now, some of you may be just starting out and you may not be paying a lot of tax, but I can guarantee you, as you get into, as Noble says, I'm not quite a zillionaire, but thank you for that, Noble. But as you get up into higher net worth and income, the taxes becomes a huge, huge obstacle. And it's like a big giant game. And if you love games, I do. I like winning them. Taxes is a big game that you have to be able to play correctly. Number two, life risks, which I just alluded to, my cardiologist friend. You just do not know what's going to happen. Life happens. We all know, and you have to be protected against those things. There are people out there that they'll never recover from a medical bill. They'll never recover from a hurricane. They'll never recover from a loss of spouse, things like that. You have to protect yourself. Of course, number three is third parties. The government can change the rules. Your company that you work for can change the rules. They can fire you. They can hire you. If you're in the military, they can change the rules. So you have to be aware of the other obstacles out there. And of course, a huge obstacle is the financial services industry itself. It's honestly very terrible. I'm not really proud of the industry that I'm in. We have taken it to a different level as a fiduciary, as a flat fee advisor. But the reality is most of the financial services industry is interested more in taking the money from your pocket and putting it in theirs rather than helping you create financial freedom. And then the last obstacle, save the best for last, usually is ourselves. And, I'm pointing the finger at myself, is that whenever we get stuck on something, the first thing we should look at is not blame somebody else or a third party, but look at ourselves and see how we're impeding our own success. And so that's kind of the concept of the book that I lay out. And each one of these little graphics here is in detail in the book and how to do it. But the big thing I just wanted to share with you as we start off this evening is the big picture of what we're trying to achieve. And it's really here in the right-hand corner. You've got to be able to create that passive income. Some people ask me about, for example, Mother Teresa or Gandhi or these people that never accumulated anything themselves. Well, they sure did. They were able to create massive passive income that funded their charities. It maybe wasn't the same way that we were, but they were generating passive income. And that way they were able to achieve, massive success in their own lives. So I'm just going to turn this off here. So that's kind of what the book is about, and why I wrote it was to try to get the message out there that people can become financially independent. A couple of things, we cover some basics in there. I wrote it so that each chapter can kind of be standalone. The first part of the book talks about my story and how I ended up to where I am, and it's really good. I would encourage you to read that if you're interested. And then each chapter in the book that goes into the technical part of what to do, it was meant to be a standalone chapter. So if you have a question about taxes or insurance or something, you can flip right to that chapter. And it's almost kind of like a reference guide. But I also put stories in there. There are loads of stories of people, just like you and I that were able to succeed and overcome different obstacles. And so it's also very inspirational in nature. So that's kind of the introduction, Noble. I can keep going. I want to make sure we stay on the time frame.
Yeah. Let's pump the brakes, David. You shared some great stuff. Here's what I want to do. Let me pull up we're about to go into our breakout rooms, but before we do, these are the questions. So I want everyone to just jot these down, because these are the questions that I want you to discuss in your breakout room. So again, be sure everyone participate in the conversation and the discussion. Everyone should be engaging. And these are the two questions that I'd love for everyone to discuss and answer in your respective breakout rooms. And again, we're going to take about 10 minutes to do so. So I'm going to set my clock here, because these are important, concepts that David, just mentioned and talks about in his book as well. What do I want to achieve? And then what human capital do I bring to the table? And I think as a personal, as kind of a business kind of coach myself, not a financial coach by any stretch, but as a business coach, someone that mentors a lot of people, these are two very important questions that I don't think a lot of people take the time to really ask. So let's go ahead and take 10 minutes in our breakout rooms. I'm going to go ahead and now when I do this breakout rooms, you're going to see a request to join that breakout room. Just hit accept. And then after 10 minutes, I'll give a warning. I'll give like a 3-minute warning and like a 1-minute warning. And then we'll all rejoin here in 10 minutes. So we'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Oh, snap. We got Big Chris Ox, man. What? The Colonel. We got the old man. What's up, Big Chris? Good to see you, man. Awesome. My classmate in the house. That's great. Augusta crew. Augusta crew, what's up? Good to see you guys. Big Augusta crew. Look at you all, man. Y'all clean up, Augusta crew. Man, you got a whole crew there. That's great. That's awesome. DP, what's up, Big DP? I know, right? Hey, so put in the chat log how you, now I know some of y'all were kind of like easing your way in, like, oh snap, who's supposed to talk? Who, you know what I mean? That's how we do this. We do breakout rooms all the time. So how did you guys dig it? Put in the chat log how you dug the breakout rooms. I know this next time around you'll be flowing a little more. It'll be a little bit easier and stuff. Big EK, what's up, Big Eric? Good to see you, man. Look at you, big retiree over there, Big Eric. Good to see you, man. Apache pilot, just retired. Awesome, brother. Thanks for your service. Big Andrew, you clean up good, brother. You look good, man. Awesome. Yeah, so, okay. Now, very quickly, I want to have just a handful of people from the different breakout rooms. I probably won't call on everybody because we had 25 or 30 breakout rooms going. So we had a lot of breakouts going. But if you could have just one person from a handful of the different breakouts, just share a takeaway from your breakout room discussion. So Corey, let me pick you. Corey, go ahead and share. I saw the face, bro. Come on now. Tell me you got some skinny now.
No, I got some skinny, bro. I got some skinny, man. Me and my boy Joe, we went straight at it. And we're really collaborating. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is just the uniqueness in our gifts of what we really share as humans, and we don't even know it. Like, I was connecting with Joe, and I couldn't even see him on the screen, but I really feel like we knew each other. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like that's the money part about us being human creatures just created through God. It's just so special.
Yep, that's great. Excellent. That's great. Okay. Peter, can you unmute yourself and just share a takeaway you got from your breakout room?
Yeah, hi. Can everyone hear me? No, I think one is just hear everyone's thoughts and see everyone come together and just share a dream. I think, it's more often that we can do that together, the greater impact we can all have, especially as we and come together like this today. Everyone's in that same pursuit, seeking the same knowledge in order to pursue that and achieve that. So I think it's totally awesome.
That's great. Excellent. That's great. Steve and Jasmine, can you share maybe a takeaway from your all's breakout room discussion?
Yes, we love the breakout discussions, Noble, and just thank you for putting this together. David, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us. And thank you, Noble, Kevin and Beth, for giving us access to them so much. But we just had a great time in our breakout session. We wish we had more time because we were kind of flowing, just hearing the confidence in every person as they talked about what they know they bring to the table to achieve their goal in life. And that's a powerful thing. That's what empowerment is. So it was very cool to hear.
No, and just some takeaways I didn't even think about or would not even think about. Jerry had some stuff that, it's like, I never thought about that angle or whatever. So just like kind of like to dovetail off what Peter said, like, man, like people think in a whole other level depending on what their experiences were in life and, whether it's legacy or whatever, they're all coming at it from a very unique and individualized angle. And I love hearing the different thoughts.
Excellent. That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. We got Big Mike Mando. What's up, Big Mike Mando? Look at you, man. Awesome. Hey, were you in a breakout room?
Yeah, absolutely. It was good. It was there's a lot of folks that were either working with you or trying to really realize that they want to try to leave corporate America or not be part of corporate America and just, do the thing to really create their own wealth stream through working for people with different ideas, trying to get in different industries, mixing. One thing I thought was really neat was a gentleman who's been a music producer since 13, working with artists, and he actually wants to merge together as a financial advisor and get into that industry. So, since he's been in banking for the last 5 years. So yeah, really good. So Thanks for putting this together, Noah. It was awesome.
That's great. Big Michael, one of my other classmates there. It's great to see him. He's also an entrepreneur. He has his own firm as well. So it's great to have you, Michael. He was just recognized in an article for his industry as well. Jackson and Bethany, what's up? What's up? Were you guys in a breakout room? Can you guys share a takeaway there from your breakout room?
Yeah, no, we were in a breakout room, and I say the thing that I like the most is just hearing that there's some selfless people out there. We had a young guy who doesn't even have kids thinking about how he's going to take care of his kids. And I think that's just a wonderful thing for people to be thinking that far ahead and being selfless and figuring out how they're going to take care of their families in the future.
Yeah, I agree. And talking about personalities and strength is always gets me going, you know. So it was great to hear people be able to identify their strengths, think about what they need to do to look at their strengths, 5 years from now, 10 years from now.
That's great. Excellent. Awesome. Thank you, guys. And is Zach Attack on here still? Big Zach.
I am.
Oh, Zach Attack. What's up, man?
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Give us some skinny, man. Were you in a breakout room?
I was, and I enjoyed listening in, and one of the things that I shared right there at the end, I'm literally sitting on my front porch in my rocking chair. But what I love to share is that when I'm 85 years old, and this is just, this was reiterated in the talk earlier, but when I'm 85 years old, sitting on my front porch in my rocking chair, what am I going to be thinking about? It's not how big my house is, because I'll probably live in a nursing home. It's not how much money's in my bank account, because I have 6 kids and 7 on the way, so they'll spend all that. And it's not what kind of car I drive, because I probably won't have a license at that point. So it's going to be, what did I do with the time, money, and resources I was given to make a difference in people's lives? That's what matters. So I really enjoyed that, man. It was great.
That's excellent. And for those of y'all that don't know Zach is, what year group are you, Zach?
99.
Class of 99. He's been a Chick-fil-A owner-operator for a decade now, and has a number of different businesses. Also has written a book called Leader Farming. Excellent book. And we just did an event actually a couple weeks ago for a big giant company, $3 billion company. And Zach, he was Batman and I was Robin.
Man, you were awesome. I love you.
So it's great to have you on here, Zach. Great. Okay. All right, David. So great. And everybody, great job, great discussion, great conversation. And so now you guys kind of know what to expect for this next time. So be taking notes. So as David kind of goes into some other concepts here in his book, be taking notes. I've got a question to kind of lead off, David, and then obviously feel free to jump into more things that you want to share. But one question I wanted to ask you, David, is two questions, but I don't want to take you off of some principles. So if you can tie them into some of the principles that you share in your book, that'd be great. So 2 decades as an entrepreneur, 2 decades as a senior wealth advisor, probably you have personally probably sat down with hundreds of couples, families, and stuff. What are some trends that you have seen in people as in relationship to money? What are some trends? What are some things that you have seen 20 years of working with people? What are some of those maybe weak spots or strong spots that you can share with us?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. One of the neat things, and actually I tell this little story from my time in the military, wherever you go in the world, people generally want the same thing. They're looking for a better life for them, for their children, for their country. Certainly evil exists out there, but most people are looking for kind of the same thing. And so what allows certain people to achieve that and others, they don't? As people said in the breakout sessions and in mine too, it's just great to see people with these purposes other than just accumulating money. And so what prevents people from doing that is pretty simple. The basics. Number one is cash flow. People get distracted by consumerism. They flat spend more than they make. It's a trend. You know, we have, I just did, so we actually prepare taxes as well. So we just finished yesterday doing some taxes, and we have a client that out in, we have a couple offices in California. So the husband works for Google, the wife works for Apple, and they're both senior executives, you know, and they make well into the, seven figures, well into the seven figures per year, not in their portfolio, per year. And they never have any money. Like last year, they probably put away $100,000 or so. Now that may seem like a lot to people here, but when you make $4 or $5 million, that's nothing. So the point of that is that whether you make $30,000 a year or $3 million a year, one of the trends that I see is people spend it all. They do not do what that little graphic said and peel off some of it and develop financial assets. One of the beauties of business ownership is that you're investing your human capital into a business that creates the income for you, but it's also an asset. So that's one of the things I really like about business ownership is you're really accomplishing two things at one time. If you go to work, you know, at somewhere, you create money and you have to go over here to create, you know, financial assets. A business owner, you're actually doing two things at once. It's kind of a side topic we could spend all night on, but that's one thing to keep in mind. And so I see a lot of people, you know, afraid to do things on their own. They cling to security. And this is one of my sayings. I don't know that I'm the first person to ever say it, but, and I talk about it in the book. My father was a Department of Defense employee for 42 years. He worked for the federal government, and he was just really shocked and scared to death when I told him I was leaving the military, especially since my wife was pregnant with our first child at the time. By the way, that's a good tip. I think that's in the book somewhere. Do not leave the military if your wife is pregnant and you have no health insurance, okay? But anyway, so so one of the things that I like to say is that security is not found in a job or benefits or things like that. The only security is an opportunity. Whenever there is opportunity, there's security. And what happens is people draw into themselves and they cling to things. They cling to security instead of looking for opportunity, because the world is changing, and the world is changing really, really fast. And if you're trying to, you know, I live in Eastern North Carolina now. For those of you guys at Fort Bragg, you just kind of head east from where you are. You're going to go through tobacco country and farmland and, you know, little towns with textile mills and stuff. I mean, there are still people that think the textile mill is coming back to their small town. It is not. It is not. And those tobacco fields, they better figure something else out to do with them. And so the world, you know, the world is changing. And so making sure that your skills are up to date and not thinking that you can rest on some accomplishment or some piece of knowledge that you had, you know, 20 years ago. So one thing, you know, making sure you're saving, and debt. You know, in contrast to Dave Ramsey, debt is not always a bad thing. In fact, if you're a real estate investor and you know what you're doing, the prudent use of debt, there's nothing wrong with it. The problem is when you add up all your assets and all your debt, if that number is negative, you have no business borrowing money. But if I have the money in the bank to go buy an investment property, and I choose to finance it, but I could pay it off at any time if I felt like it, that's a different story. Anyway, but the point is, another trend, Noble, people have way too much debt, way too much house. People waste more money on their primary residence. I mean, I have 5 kids. My wife and I, we live in a little 4-bedroom Cape Cod house. No, it's a nice place. It's not like a shack, you know, it's not a shack, but it is, you know, a reasonable house. And I see people waste so much money on their house, more than they need. So that's another trend that I see. So it's the basics. It's one of the first chapters in the book. And if you can just get the basics down, is save some money. Don't spend it all. Don't get suckered into all the consumerism. Stay out of frivolous debt. You know, don't finance your couch and your TV and your dog and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And watch the house. No, nobody gets a starter house anymore. I mean, the first house I had in Fayetteville was like, I don't know, it was like 1,000 square feet that my lovely bride and I moved into when we were married. And people don't want to do that anymore. They go out and they get too much house. So those are some of the trends that I see, Noble.
That's great. So okay. And yeah, I remember our first apartment on exit 10 in Columbus, Georgia, at good old Fort Benning for infantry officer basic school and ranger school. And for you civilians, that's the Army's elite weight loss program. If you never heard of that school. So yeah, I think our apartment, may have been 800 square feet, something like that. It was Kathy, myself, and then our German Shepherd. And, but yeah, that's interesting. So, okay. So, and I may come back to your trends there, but what are the top 3 things, David, that, okay, I'm about to jump, and I've already started your book, whatever, but what are the top 3 things that you would want somebody to take away from reading your book?
Yeah. So, and I wrote it in order of, the first part of the book is the most important, and then the rest of the book is on all the, investing and taxes and things like that. But number 1 is you've got to decide where you're going, and you have to do that. I remember, I don't know if they did this when you were there, Noble, but when I was at West Point, we had a 3x5 card that we had to write down our goals, and we had to stick it on our overhead. And I had to look at that thing every day. These are my 3 goals: graduate top in my class, be the number 1 physical fitness person in the in the academy, and go to the NCAA Final Four rugby. And and I just looked at those every day. And you have to do that. It absolutely works. The reason it works, I don't know if everybody has kids, and if you remember back when you were a kid and maybe you were going places in the car, there was no DVD players, or, we didn't even have air conditioning. My dad wouldn't even turn the air conditioning on in the car, so it was like driving down the freeway, going to Ohio to grandma's, no DVD, the windows open, it's like 100 degrees in there. And it was like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And that plays on your mind when you don't know. That's what they do in Special Forces selection and Delta. You never know where you're going. You don't know how long it's going to be. How long do I have to hump this 100-pound ruck? You don't know. And it creates this massive uncertainty. Now, in the military, you're trying to stress that part of it. But in your life, you don't need to do that. Figure out where you're going. Don't leave that uncertainty there. It creates discord within your mind that you do not need. Figure out where you're going. Write it down. Now, you can change your mind. I've adjusted my goals throughout the year, but when you put it down and commit to it, the subliminal part of your mind, which is extremely powerful, is going to take over, and it's going to guide your actions in ways that you can't imagine to achieve that goal. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the best investment you can make is in yourself. Once again, people say, oh, well, should I buy real estate? Should I do this? Should I do that? Yes, we'll get to that kind of stuff, but you've got to invest in yourself. As I mentioned already, whether it be a career, the number 1 asset that everybody starts off with is, in fact, that earning potential. And you've got to maximize it in some way. If you never have any excess money to peel off to invest in financial assets, it's going to be very difficult to create that residual income. It is possible. I can tell you there are stories of teachers and military, firefighter, trash collect, every walk of life, there's an example of somebody that's done it. But one way or the other, they invested in themselves and were able to create that excess money. broaden your horizons, learn different skills, learn about different industries. One of the things that helps any business owner or anybody is they know a lot about different industries, not just where they work. You know, if you're in the military, you know, learn something about business. If you're in business, learn something about the military. You know, learn about different things, broaden your horizon, because what that does is you'll put together things that people that are siloed can't see. And I see that a lot in today's society is, you know, we're getting so specialized. I mean, you can't just be an engineer and go, you know, you've got to be like in fact, I had some people that work on cars, like a friend of mine is a dashboard plastic engineer on a car. Like that's all he does. He works on the dashboard plastics in cars. That's it. And so we're narrowing people in. And so if you want to be successful, you got to really broaden your horizons out. And, you know, think of, you know, people like Michelangelo or, you know, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, you know, some of these sort of Renaissance type people, and they had broad horizons. They could draw from a lot of experiences. And then the last thing I would say, Noble, is on that human capital and investing in yourself. The two best things that you can learn are how to communicate and how to negotiate. I tell my kids this all the time. You know, people are worried about China and all the engineers and taking over the world and things like that. And the people that are going to rule the world, the next generation, are people that can communicate and negotiate. Because there's so many people with their face stuck in their phone that if you can actually motivate, communicate, negotiate, and influence, you're going to be able to achieve whatever you want. And those are some skills that if I was investing in myself, I would certainly take a look at. So those are all, like, you'll notice, I mean, this is a financial topic, but you've got to get you've got to get the basics straight, your cash flow, your debt, your things like that. You got to figure out where you're going, and you got to commit to investing in yourself. Then when you start applying these concepts of, you know, investing in stocks and bonds, and should I use index funds, or, you know, should I buy a real estate property, or how do I save taxes? Then those things have some purpose behind them. They have some meaning, and they have some context. And that's when you can really sort of 10x your financial future, is when you have those basics down, that then everything can kind of come together.
Love it, David. One of the things that Kevin has drilled into to us is, you know, very similar. Again, you can have whatever goals you want, or all those kind of things, but if you don't have the financial habit to back it up, right? Like I could say I want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, but if I'm committed to eating Ben and Jerry's every night, right there's some cognitive dissonance there. And so, like you said, if my personal trend is to spend more than I make, then and I also want to have a house in the mountains, there's some cognitive dissonance there. At some point, I'm going to have to dial in my financial habits, which, you know, of course, that's not, you know, financial habits are not, there's nothing sexy about financial habits. There's nothing sexy about habits. We want to, you know, and it kind of the thing that I got from your book a little, again, just a few chapters in so far, is like, too many of us put the cart before the horse. No, David, I don't want to talk about the habits and the hard stuff. Just tell me how much money you're going to make me, right? Exactly. And it doesn't work that way. It's like, okay, I'm picking out I'm picking out what Speedos I want to wear, but I'm still 80 pounds overweight. You know what I'm saying? So I can't be rocking my Speedos like Big DP does. You know, being all 3% body fat and stuff. So I can't put the cart before the horse regarding my financial situation, financial habits as well. So, okay, great.
Sure. And the other thing too, Noble, you know, we've got people on the webinar here that are all different phases in life and things like that. And so these are principles that, you know, we can apply to anybody as you know, for people starting out. But, you know, just if I could just say on the investment side, people ask, you know, keep it simple. Anything that you can't understand in about 2 minutes is probably too complicated. we have people invest in index funds, low cost index funds in a diversified manner. We'll blend in some real estate at the right time for people. And hopefully if they have a business, is a great opportunity to do that. But on the investment side, you really keep it simple. And so if you get those basics that we've talked about down, the investing part, is all laid out there in the book, but it's keeping it simple. The secret to success in investing is that it don't get confused by the complicated, products and things like that.
That's excellent, David. Excellent. Okay, so everybody, we're gonna take 10 minutes, go into our breakout rooms, have discussion, and then we're going to come back and kind of wrap it up. There's a couple other things of value add stuff that I want to give to you all at the end there that kind of David has shared with me to share with you all. So again, 10 minutes, and we'll be back in the main session here to wrap up.
No, what are the questions? Do you have some questions this time?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, here are the questions here, right here. Boom. So what are your core values? That was another thing I got a lot from David, was core values. Figure out what your core values are, and then also how can you invest in yourself? Those are the two questions to discuss in the breakout room, or any other questions that you feel you want to hit. But I just wanted to give you guys a couple starter questions there. Okay, boom. You guys back? You guys are back at it. Okay, how'd it go? How'd the second round go? Second round, put in a chat log. Give me scale 1 to 10. How you digging these breakout rooms? Give me scale 1 to 10 in the chat log. 1,000. That's great. Look at me, Chris Williams, man. Look at you, man. Superfly. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Big Chris. Awesome. The Pacheco's. Woo, woo. Awesome. That's great. Okay. Hey, how about because I jumped through all of them. I went through, I think, all 25 breakout rooms, and every single one of you all were dropping I heard some great conversations going. So super, super stoked. Okay, Big John, you dug it. Yeah, that's right, OPS. I was moving to shoot, moving to communicate. You see me? Man, I'm telling you, I was Muhammad Ali, move like a butterfly, sting like a bee. With Zoom, I can move like J Diop. That's right. That's right. That's right. I got smoother waves and DP before his bonnet, bro. You know what I'm saying? Before his do bag.
Noble. Hey.
Talk to me.
As we're wrapping up here, can you make sure I have like 3 minutes to give some other book recommendations too?
Yes,
that was one of the questions. People sent in some great questions. I know you're going to cover this, but I did want to go over that as well. Obviously, my book, but I don't want this to be self-serving, so I've got some other resources for people as well.
Yes, and so let me go ahead and jump into that here. So hopefully you guys can see the screen. Give me thumbs up. Chris, can you see the screen? Big Chris. Okay, you guys can see it. Okay, perfect. So this is David's book here. So invest in your life, not just your portfolio. And I can put the link in the
and it's
chat
out
box.
Today. I mean, this is amazing. Like today is the day. It's first available. So I'm honored to be doing this today with you guys.
That timing worked out great, David. How God works, man. That's a blessing right there. And then he also has a blog. So a bunch of you all submitted your questions ahead of time, which was awesome. I sent those questions to David, and I'll send there some more of you that responded also in the survey. So I will be sure that David gets all those questions. And then just, obviously he's a very busy entrepreneur, husband, father, all the hats that he wears. So just give him time, but he's going to be lacing some of the questions that you all submitted throughout his blog. So if you
I was going to say, Noble, that's the, I'm not the tech guy for the website. So if you go to that page, you'll be able to, there's a sign up where you can sign up for it, or you can just read it on the website. But if you want to sign up and have the stuff pushed to you, there's a place to sign up for it, or you can just read it on the site itself.
That's great. That's excellent. So David, go ahead and wrap it up for us. And then I've got one more slide to share with everybody, but go ahead and share your.
Yeah, I just want to share a few resources. Like I said, I tried to distill this book to be like a desk reference for both people just starting out, as well as, some of you people that are advanced. I mean, there's some good tax stuff in here, some estate stuff. It's really good. But these are 3 books that, as I was mentioning in the beginning, are yellow dog-eared books that Kevin and Beth recommended to me years ago. They're classics. A lot of you have probably read them. But How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. You got to read this. You got to read this. Magic of Thinking Big, David Schwartz, another classic book. And then, of course, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Those are 3 of my, and I reread them all the time. And they really help you stay focused on that goal setting, that mindset, all those things that prepare you to be successful. Those are 3 indispensable books. On the finance side, I know that I think this is a classic book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. It's interesting. he wrote some books with some CPAs, Diane Kennedy and some other people. And I'm actually working with some of the remnants of that organization. And the stuff that he lays out in the book is kind of some of the similar stuff that I teach, keep creating that passive income. But Rich Dad Poor Dad is great. This is another classic, The Millionaire Next Door. You know, most people in America, the people that we work with, they're not Hollywood celebrities. They're not movie stars. They're not NBA basketball, NFL football. They're people that you're probably eating, you know, lunch at Chick-fil-A with, or, you know, they pulled up in their Ford F-150 pickup truck, or in my case, a 15-year-old Chevy Silverado. And this is a great book called The Millionaire Next Door. The information in it, when you read it, it's a little bit dated, but you'll get the idea. It's still applicable today. This is an amazing book. It's called Win, and I'll get you these names, Noble. We can send them out to the group. This is an amazing book called Winning the Loser's Game by Charles Ellison. You want to talk about investing in stocks and things like that? This is the best book you could ever read. And basically, the analogy is investing is like tennis. And in amateur tennis, the person that wins the tennis match is the person that makes the fewest errors. It's a great book. Then the last one, a little bit on a philosophical side, it's called Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Fooled by Randomness. And this guy is like really, really good. He also wrote another book called The Black Swan. And he talks about the role of chance in life and the markets and things like that. And it's part philosophy, part investment, but it's really, really good. So those are some resources that that you guys can check out, you know, if you're looking for some other stuff to read as well.
Excellent, David. Thanks a million. So go ahead and you guys type in the chat log one takeaway from tonight. You know, look back at the whole evening and just what is one takeaway that you got from the event tonight. So I wanted to just let you guys know, for those of you all, some of you all, you know, will have access. Some of you all may not, but just this is going to be the next 360 movement date, Sunday, May 19th, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be a true 360 event. I've got, you know, some folks lined up to provide some content, some great content, great value add. So I just want to share that with you guys. But again, please put it in the chat log there, a takeaway from tonight. David, absolutely can't thank you enough, man, for taking your time and sharing your book again. Make sure you guys check this out. Invest in your life, not just your portfolio. He's got some phenomenal concepts so far that I've read already. You guys got to get a preview from the author himself here. And I will be making this recording available in the 360 Movement Facebook group in the big giant spreadsheet where I've got all the previous talks from all the previous 360 Movement experiences and events. I'm going to put this talk in that spreadsheet as well, so you all will have access to that also. So God bless you guys. David, again, thank you so much for an amazing, amazing event. Please give Caroline and the kids big hugs for us. Look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Anytime, Noble.
And it was neat, guys. We had 195 people on at the highest event. We had 100 at the highest peak in the event. 195 attendees, and you could see just even from the Augusta group, there was a lot of more folks. We had over 200 people at this event tonight. So David was able to impact a lot of people, and very, very thankful for David and Kevin and Beth also for sharing. But God bless you guys, and again, have an awesome, awesome evening. And thanks for sharing all your takeaways tonight as well. Be looking for the recording again in the 360 Movement Facebook group. God bless you guys.